You've heard the term compound interest before, maybe in school, maybe on a finance podcast. But what if I told you that most people completely misunderstand it? Compounding isn't just a slow drip of numbers in a savings account. It's a silent, relentless wealth engine. One that multiplies not just your money, but your future. It doesn't scream. It doesn't dazzle. It quietly builds empires. And those who understand it don't chase get-rich-quick schemes. They build freedom. So, what makes compounding truly powerful, and why do most people never harness it? Let's peel back the layers. Compounding isn't just a financial formula. It's a mindset, a belief system, and a quiet revolution happening behind the scenes of real wealth. Yet most people only see the surface. Money growing slowly over time. They think compounding is boring, something for retirees or risk-averse savers. But that's a misconception that could cost decades of freedom. In truth, compounding is a self-fueling machine, a system that creates not only more money, but more income, independence, and control. When harnessed correctly, it doesn't just add, it multiplies, and it can transform your entire financial trajectory. We live in an era where money is created by electronic signals, not by ink or paper. Every single day, billions of new dollars are added to the global economy, not by printing, but by being generated digitally. This isn't magic. It's the natural consequence of a credit-based banking system. One where your account balance isn't backed by gold or even physical cash, but by a promise. A promise that you can access those funds anytime, simply because a bank says so. Many people fail not because they don't invest, but because they break the cycle too soon. They cash out dividends early, they get impatient, they take their eyes off the long term. But the truth is this: the amount you start with matters far less than how long you let it grow. Compounding is about reinvesting, not just money, but discipline. Every reinvested dollar is a building block, and each one strengthens the foundation of your future. When you withdraw too early, you're not just taking money out, you're taking possibility out. This wealth engine doesn't roar, it hums quietly in the background. While others are chasing market noise, you're accumulating strength, one quarter at a time. Every reinvested dividend becomes a snowflake. Given enough time, those snowflakes turn into a snowball, then an avalanche of income. But only if you don't interrupt the process. That's the secret. Compounding rewards the patient, the consistent, the unseen grinders. The ones who plant seeds, walk away, and let time do the heavy lifting. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, but it's how real wealth is built. So the question isn't, how much money do I have? The real question is, what is my money doing for me? Are your dollars sleeping in a savings account? Or are they working overtime to build more income for your future self? Wealth isn't just what you accumulate, it's what you set in motion. And when compounding is in motion, you no longer trade time for money. You trade decisions for freedom. This is not theory, it's a proven path. And the sooner you start, the sooner you escape the cycle of financial survival. Imagine owning a small vending machine. Every quarter it spits out a bit of cash, a dividend. Now instead of pocketing that cash, you use it to buy another vending machine. Next quarter you have 2, then 4, then 10. That's not fantasy. That's the compounding effect of reinvested dividends. Every dollar received isn't a reward to be spent. It's an opportunity to increase your ownership. The real power of investing is when your income starts buying more income. At that point, you've stepped beyond saving. You're building a living, breathing cash flow ecosystem. Here's what most people miss. Dividends aren't a bonus. They're the core engine. Unlike capital gains, which are uncertain and require selling to realize, dividends are cold, hard cash that lands in your account regardless of market direction. Whether the market is booming or crashing, those payments still arrive. And if you're smart, you don't spend them. You reinvest them. Each reinvested dividend becomes a new asset, and every asset becomes a new income stream. This is how you turn a modest investment into a money machine that scales with time. You don't need to be wealthy to benefit from this. You just need to be consistent. Even a stock paying 50 cents per share per quarter seems insignificant until you own hundreds, then thousands of shares. Reinvested steadily, these small checks turn into serious capital. Compounding doesn't require brilliance. It requires patience, it requires action, and most importantly, it requires respect for small beginnings. The mistake is not in starting small. The mistake is in staying small because you failed to reinvest. The path to wealth starts with choosing to treat every dollar as a worker, not a prize. That's the difference between holding money and owning assets. Money just sits there. But assets move. They generate, they grow, they multiply. Dividends allow you to keep your capital intact while still generating income, and then use that income to acquire even more capital. It's a beautiful loop. Your money pays you, and you use that payment to buy more moneymakers. At a certain point, you don't need to contribute new money. The system sustains itself. You're no longer just an investor. You're a builder of financial infrastructure that works around the clock. If compounding is the engine, then time is the fuel that makes it roar. The longer you allow your investments to run undisturbed, the more dramatic the results become. Most people severely underestimate the exponential nature of time in wealth building. Compounding isn't about earning a steady return. It's about stacking those returns on top of one another over and over again. The real magic doesn't happen in year 1 or year 2. It begins to appear in year 10 and explodes by year 20. Time is not your assistant in compounding. It is your accelerator. Let's say your portfolio earns 3% in dividends annually. Not exciting, right? But here's where the magic begins. You reinvest every single dividend. In year 5, that extra income may feel modest, perhaps a couple $100s. But by year 15, it could be several thousand per year. Why? Because your income is compounding, not just your capital. The reinvested dividends buy more shares. Those shares pay more dividends, and the cycle strengthens. Eventually, it reaches a tipping point where your portfolio grows faster than your effort, and your income becomes a force of its own. Most investors sabotage themselves by expecting fireworks too early. They check their accounts weekly, panic during downturns, and forget the math of exponential growth. They pull money out, they stop reinvesting, they change strategies mid-course, and just like that, they reset the clock. Compounding hates interruptions. Every time you stop the process, you don't just lose gains, you lose momentum. The cost isn't short-term volatility. The cost is forfeiting the momentum that only comes from time. In this game, those who hold longest and reinvest consistently always win. Wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows in curves. That's why so many people miss it. We're hardwired to expect linear results. Input equals output. But compounding breaks that rule. For years, your results may look boring. Then one year, they double, then triple, then take on a life of their own. But this only happens if you respect the timeline. You can't rush compounding. You can only protect it. The most valuable investment you can make is not in a stock, ETF, or fund. It's in uninterrupted time. This is why time should be treated like capital. Just as you wouldn't burn through your savings recklessly, you shouldn't squander your compounding years on emotional decisions. Every day you stay invested is a seed planted. And the longer you leave that seed untouched, the more powerful the harvest. Time doesn't just measure your compounding results, it multiplies them. The question isn't, how fast can I grow? The real question is, can I be still long enough to let the growth reveal itself? Patience isn't passive. In compounding, it's everything. Imagine never having to remember to reinvest your dividends because your system does it for you. That's the power of DRIP, Dividend Reinvestment Plan. It's a mechanism that automatically uses your dividends to buy more shares of the same asset without fees, without friction, and without delay. No second guessing, no manual clicks, no emotional interference. DRIP is the ultimate tool for disciplined investors who know that consistency beats cleverness. It allows your portfolio to grow on autopilot, reinvesting every dollar into future earnings. One small setup decision, and you unlock decades of growth with zero ongoing effort. Most investors underestimate the value of tiny reinvestments. They see a $2 dividend and shrug. But with DRIP, that $2 buys partial shares. Those partial shares generate more dividends next quarter, which buy even more. Over time, the machine compounds itself. DRIP turns cents into snowballs. It builds your position gradually, quietly, and relentlessly. And because it's automated, it eliminates the human tendency to interrupt the process. There's no temptation to spend. No, maybe I'll wait for a better time. DRIP makes the best time now, every time. That's how small, consistent actions beat big, inconsistent ones. Even better, DRIPs are built for imperfection. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to pick the next unicorn stock. You simply need to own quality dividend-paying assets and let DRIP do the heavy lifting. It doesn't react to market noise. It doesn't care about headlines. It just executes the system. While others panic and try to time exits, your DRIP just keeps buying at highs, at lows, and everything in between. And that dollar-cost averaging adds stability and efficiency to your compounding journey, turning chaos into calm and noise into growth. This is why so many long-term investors swear by it. DRIP removes complexity. It reduces decision fatigue. It builds wealth through repetition, not revolution. In a world obsessed with quick flips and flashy wins, DRIP stands for something radical: long-term trust in the process. It's the tortoise in a race full of hares. And we all know how that story ends. When you combine DRIP with time and discipline, you unlock a trifecta of compounding power that outperforms almost everything else. Not overnight, but over and over again. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. Most people don't fail at investing because of bad math. They fail because of bad mindset. Behavioral economics calls it hyperbolic discounting, our tendency to value small, immediate rewards over larger, future ones. It's why someone cashes out a $3 dividend instead of reinvesting it. It's why a 10% short-term gain feels more satisfying than a 10-year plan. But compounding punishes impatience. The longer you delay gratification, the bigger the eventual payout. Unfortunately, most people trade their future wealth for momentary wins. Not because they're incapable, but because they can't see the invisible growth that's happening beneath the surface. We live in a dopamine-driven world. Quick flips, trending stocks, overnight crypto millionaires. Viral success stories condition us to believe that wealth must be loud and explosive. But compounding isn't any of those things. It's subtle, it's boring, it doesn't trend on social media, and that's exactly why it works. While others chase hype, compounding rewards silence. While others jump from one strategy to another, compounding rewards consistency. The greatest investors don't outsmart the market every day. They outweight it. In a culture addicted to speed, slowness becomes your unfair advantage. The tragedy is that people laugh at small dividends. They mock 50 payouts. They dismiss $3 checks. But that $3, reinvested for 20 years, becomes hundreds. The only reason most people don't see it is because they're not wired for exponential thinking. Our brains prefer straight lines, not curves. That's why we're surprised when things start to snowball. But by then, it's often too late, because we gave up too early. What feels insignificant today is compounding in the background, and if you protect that process, one day you'll wake up to a portfolio doing the work for you. But here's the real villain: emotion. When the market dips, fear says sell. When dividends feel too small, pride says spend. When others get rich fast, envy says switch strategies. Emotion interrupts what logic built, and every interruption breaks the compounding chain. That's why systems beat feelings, automated reinvestments beat guesswork, discipline beats brilliance. In the end, your edge isn't how much you know, it's how well you behave. Compounding doesn't require genius. It requires faith, it requires trust in time, and it requires a mindset strong enough to withstand noise and stay loyal to the process. Success in investing isn't about predicting markets. It's about building systems that operate without needing your constant input or emotional validation. A system is a set of small, repeatable actions you automate and trust, even when they feel insignificant. It could be as simple as reinvesting dividends, setting monthly deposits, or ignoring the headlines. These habits may seem boring, but they remove the most dangerous variable from the equation. You. Emotional investors chase highs. Systematic investors build wealth. You don't need to be brilliant. You need to be consistent. Your wealth grows at the speed of your structure. Now contrast that with emotion-based investing. You get excited when prices rise, terrified when they fall. You jump in and out of assets like a frog on a hot plate, always hoping for the next lucky break. But in reality, you're just resetting the clock over and over again. Without a system, every decision becomes reactive. You're at the mercy of news cycles, Twitter trends, and market mood swings. No structure means no compound effect, just scattered wins and frequent losses. And in the world of compounding, breaking momentum is the most expensive mistake of all. The truth is, you don't need a complicated strategy. you need a simple, automated, and repeatable system. Choose strong dividend-paying assets. Turn on DRIP. Set up recurring contributions. Don't touch it. Don't second-guess it. That's it. No genius moves required. A good system will do the thinking for you, the buying for you, and most importantly, the growing for you. It acts as your financial autopilot, immune to stress, FOMO, and ego. Systems don't panic. They persist. And in the long run, persistence wins every time. Ironically, the more boring your system looks, the more powerful it probably is. It won't feel like you're making progress at first. That's the test. The process is slow, invisible, and sometimes discouraging. But stick with it long enough, and you'll hit what every compounding investor dreams of: escape velocity. That moment when your portfolio grows faster than your contributions. The moment your money works harder than you do. While others chase noise and quick wins, you'll be quietly building a financial engine that won't stop. Because your system is built to last. Real wealth isn't measured by what you can spend today. It's measured by what you can preserve and grow for generations. That's why the ultra-wealthy don't just invest for returns. They invest for repeatable, resilient cash flow. Dividend-paying assets become the lifeblood of their financial ecosystems. Instead of chasing hot stocks or flipping houses, they hold onto income-generating assets and let the cash flow fund their lifestyles and their legacies. The secret? They rarely sell. They use dividends to live, to donate, and to build trust funds. Their capital stays intact. Their income never stops. The power lies in structure. Wealthy families set up systems, trusts, DRIPs, holding companies, all designed to protect and reinvest income without touching principal. That means no capital gains taxes, no mistimed liquidations, no emotional exits. It's not about outsmarting the market. It's about outlasting it. And compounding isn't just part of their strategy, it is the strategy. While the average investor celebrates a good year, the wealthy quietly add another layer to their financial fortress, brick by brick, dividend by dividend. Over time, this creates generational wealth that doesn't just grow, it sustains. What separates being rich from staying rich? Discipline, structure, and long-term thinking. The ultra-wealthy don't rely on luck or flashy plays. They rely on systems that are boring by design, but brilliant in effect. When you use compounding to build assets that pay you forever, you gain more than money. You gain freedom. You gain time. And when structured correctly, you gain the ability to pass that freedom on, without liquidation, without disruption, and often without taxes. This is how wealth is preserved. Not through noise, but through quiet, compounding precision. You don't need genius to build wealth. You need systems, patience, and faith in boring things done consistently. Compounding isn't flashy, it won't go viral, but it builds what quick wins never will: unshakable freedom. The act of clicking reinvest, ignoring noise, and staying the course isn't small, it's revolutionary. In a world obsessed with immediacy, compounding is your rebellion. It's how you rise quietly while others chase loudly. Every dollar reinvested is a statement: I choose freedom over flash. Do that long enough, and one day, the results will speak louder than any hype ever could. Compounding doesn't reward speed. It rewards stillness, structure, and time. While the world chases flashes of success, you now understand a deeper truth. Real wealth is built silently, patiently, and systematically. It's not about how much you start with, it's about whether you protect the process. You now hold the blueprint that the majority ignore. The question is, will you apply it? Will you trust the boring steps that lead to extraordinary freedom? Because the ones who win the long game aren't louder, smarter, or luckier. They're simply the ones who never quit.